for the Nautilus, and LNG don't even care, just answering it up with the Ezreal right off the bat, with the fact that Lucian and Zeri are both gone. Light setting himself up to be more of a mid-game carry so far, and I wonder for OMG what they're going to opt into here. For Abel, we've obviously already seen the Samira earlier on in the day. That is Abel's comfort zone. Also still having things like the Aphelios open if they still want to opt into some scaling themselves, but also really have that strong power spike once we do get the Gale Force on the board. And then you would expect jungle... Oh, wait. Kaisa's open.
Yeah.
Kaisa's open. Ezreal's on the other side. I'm an idiot, Mazel. They're locking this in 100%. And now we're going to look at what jungle they go for. Lee Sin, something we've been hitting on all day. Did not get it last time around, since we did have the Trundle come out up against the Xin. And we'll see what OMG look to go with.
So I was really interested that for the first 2 games, we didn't get the Ezreal coming through because both teams really liked going for the Ezreal, a little bit of safety in the bottom lane. But we do get it for LNG this time, and I want to see how this matchup, this new bottom lane matchup that we get, the Kaisa versus Ezreal, is going to pan out. As Trundle picked up for OMG, as they're trying to take some notes from LNG last game. In particular, no real tankiness so far from LNG, so maybe just trying to take that one and pilot it to the best of their ability. Corki does get through, does get locked in yet again for super carry Doinb.
Yeah, and, you know, going back to the opposite side, right, of what they can do with this bottom lane, I feel like one of the reasons we've started to see Ezreal taper off a little bit is because of the Kaisa, and honestly why I forgot that these 2 champions were champions. Only having a 25% win rate up against the Kaisa so far this split, right? Always been one of those historical counters, able to get on the backline, try and find a way to assassinate him. And now OMG, once again, kind of going back to that as their bread and butter, having the dive comp set up there for if they can, you know, find another mid laner, whether they want to go back towards something like the Sylas or maybe even dive back into an assassin, considering you're going up against the Corki in the mid lane. So for LNG, once again, going to just kind of stick with playing out through a range. And it seems like they've kind of indexed into like, hey, there is more scaling. This Corki is really strong right now, and it also just gives us this carry in mid lane that we can rely on.
It does indeed. We see the Sejuani also banned away against OMG. Don't want to give any finickiness there or give any special picks over as well. That Sejuani providing a lot of CC, a lot of front line there, which would have been par for the course for OMG. Very interested to ban it away, though, as it is a little bit more of that top lane focus. We'll see what LNG want to pick up here, as they'll be looking for their 4th pick and waiting for the counter pick themselves.
Yeah, LNG, I would expect to just look to go for support here, considering you're already going up against the Nautilus on the opposing side. Rakan, so going to give them follow-up with Tarzan, Zhao going in. Possibly could try and find flanks as well, but considering OMG are setting up to come into them, probably going to see things like the quickness used reactively into maybe like OMG engaging into them. You can try and taunt things like the Kaisa off your AD carry, set him up to be able to deal damage from a range. And when we went back to like, hey, there is a Corki on the opposing side, it can maybe set up for these other mid laners to come through, be able to get to the mid game just fine.
Oh, wow.
They will just lean back on that Sylas, who, again, you shouldn't struggle too heavily early in the laning phase. Prior to level 3, Corki's going to have a fine time. Post 3, you at least have some threat coming in from the abscond, abduct, able to go through. And then this would be really cool as well. Shanji going back to a pick that worked out for him beautifully in game 1. We're going to talk more about his new build coming on through, because we didn't get too much time to hit on that, considering that game 1, there was a lot of action.
There was.
A lot.
There was. Game 2, a little bit less so there for sure. We'll see what that final pick is going to be. And OMG opting into the comfort from game number 1, the one game that they whole-handedly took. And I think finding good pieces from that one. I will say the one standout for me is the Trundle, but getting Aki on this pick and seeing it against Tarzan and Zhao will be something pivotal to keep our eye out on. They get the Aatrox final pick for LNG.
Yeah, I'm curious to see all on this one. I still remember some interesting Aatrox games back when he was known as Natural. We'll do fine up in the lane, right?
Yeah.
Kind of playing with the range of the sweet spots of your Qs. So you'll get out there. You can try and force his dash with your chain as well. So for LNG, right, kind of playing back with your Ezreal Corki, having this big front line in the Aatrox, Zhao, and Rakan. Aatrox, another champion who really likes when champions are coming into him and can set up, especially for the sweet spot of your 3rd Q quite well. And I mean, OMG go back to comfort. They go back to what they know.
I think that's what's super interesting to see as this series has panned out, right? At the top of the day, we were talking OMG are still 0-3 in the summer split. It's not something you want to be a part of. You want to get those wins. I think the first game showed us the brightness that is possible, and now that they're opting into some of those picks, not the Samira this time around, but the Kaisa, a little bit more meta as well, I think that's huge. But you're coming off of a game where LNG are going to be streaming forward, right? And I feel like LNG are going to come in with a lot more confidence, a lot more ground under their feet than they did in game number 1 into this game number 3 because of that last game. But it's also maybe tending away from the execution style that we would want for OMG. And that's where this game in particular is a moment for them to kind of prove themselves.
And it just seems like for OMG, there isn't a like, hey, let's try and change course and like maybe pick up other things. Let's just keep doubling down on what we're strong on because we're already 0-3. We need to get some wins on the table. Our best shot is with comfort.
Exactly. And the Sylas looked mighty good for Creme in game number 1. See if they can pull it out again as we have hit game number 3 of LNG versus OMG. Who comes out on top?
Coming in. Get a little hello from Shanji onto Ala. And I think that's a good point to talk about the Gragas, right? Because we had the Gragas come out in game 1. Yeah, running the first strike, kind of the new tech coming out on him, running the first strike, giving yourself kind of more burst coming in with like that 10% bonus true damage. You also get just easy way of making money in landing phase where you can consistently land those Qs. But I feel like the big things for him, right? Q getting the cooldown reduced, E getting the cooldown reduced, and more AP scaling coming on your Q as well. So it just sets you up heavier to build a lot of ability haste and just have very low cooldowns and just consistently spam out in team fights. Night Harvester now being the go-to mythic also had more ability haste added. And then the Archangel Staff also giving you ability haste equal to, it's like 1.7 or 1.8 of your bonus mana. So the new Gragas build just all about all-inning on ability haste and getting those abilities off as much as possible. And you're just the fact that your Q now has a bit more AP damage as well also feels quite nice with all these changes.
I will note something else that's a little bit different in this game as well, is we're getting starts from both junglers on the bottom side of the map, where we've seen opposite side starts for the entirety of this series. I would say the majority of it.
Ooh,
but it's
Mazel,
going to be
though.
interesting. Yeah, Lumao steps right up into the push, face checking it, takes a ton of damage, and that's the power of the combo early on of the Kaisa and the Nautilus.
Yep, able to get that CC off, help Kaisa with that passive, and get some nice damage down. But you already highlighted, right? Both junglers making their way towards the top side right now. I'm curious to see if either team actually prioritizes heavy attention towards this lane. Tarzan, I think, maybe has a bit more onus to do so, considering you do have an Ezreal down in the bottom lane and can be quite fine just farming by himself. If you can set Ala up for some early success and not let this Gragas get going, especially when you aren't really building any resistances, you aren't too tanky with the new build that is coming forward. I think for Aki, like, maybe you can set up for an early gank, considering Ala has push, but I still think it should be a lot more bot and especially mid-oriented coming out for the side of OMG, where we once again have this Sylas who, once he gets a few levels under his belt, will have free lane to just start roaming out from mid to influence the map.
Yeah, and that's what we have to see if Creme is going to be successful in this one. I want to go back to the point for Tarzan, though. It's something that's always stuck out about him for me is the cerebral gameplay that we typically get from this guy in the jungle. The little pathing differences, the little unique things that he does. And especially we saw it right in last game when he kind of duped Aki into going for the dragon, came back around. But it's always these pathings that are so interesting. Now he's going to path straight into Aki's mouth.
And Mazel, Cold's coming. Cold's already in mid lane.
He's in some trouble here, though. It's going to be 2v1 that Aki might win. Flashes from both junglers out. The Abscon Abduct not going to connect for Creme.
I'm kind of surprised that Cold didn't commit a little bit harder to that. Maybe you try and force a flash to force a flash of your own coming out from Doinb, but not wanting to do it. Corki does have the Valkyrie, so I can kind of understand not wanting to look for that play, but definitely feels like they could have gotten more. You hit on Aki already taking a bunch of damage before Cold had gotten there, but with the early push in bot side, they were at least able to have numbers to force that one through. But hey, flash for flash in the end. LNG not feeling too bad about that one, and Doinb already coming back to mid, has a tier, has the 2 longswords. Creme will just match with the zone TP.
So in this kind of situation, especially when you're seeing the tier for Shanji and a little bit of that difference in the build for the Gragas, I would expect that we get more of the focus, especially for Tarzan and Aki, where we've seen it all series long in this mid and bot lane, and especially looking at these first objectives coming on the board, which we've seen been pretty contested. I believe there was only the one game where we got a little bit later of a dragon, but we've been pretty on point with the objectives in this series in particular. In about 30 seconds for the Infernal Dragon to come up, I wonder where we start getting that skirmishing, because I don't think it's going to be top lane unless it's a 1v1.
Yeah, for Aki, I think it is very hard set.
They're committing to this one too. A little bit of damage back, but not too much.
So for Aki, I think it's very hard set around like, jungle to mid and then mid jungle to bot, just keeping control over that bot side. For Tarzan, I think we're kind of looking at game one where, I mean, you're fine as long as Aki and Creme aren't really able to achieve much. So if you're covering your lanes, if you're able to get some vision down yourself, you're able to start setting up your Corki and your Ezreal to come online once they do hit their power spikes, I feel like that's a solid game looking for Tarzan. And I think there is potential for top, but it just seems like Allah is just going to constantly look to hard push this wave and whittle Shanji down. So it just seems like he's going to be set up to just kind of match around that mid-jungle area that we were just hitting on.
See Aki getting the mid lane pillar, Valkyrie away from Doinb, knowing something's coming there, and will actually back away. I think that's a nice one. Not going to have the flash burned either. Aki's first gank doesn't get anything here, as we do see more pings coming down towards the Dragon Pit. But both junglers, at least, still trying to find their first purchase on the game.
And not able to get too much done. And right, it feels like even though game one had a lot of aggression, that all three games, the first 5 to 10 minutes, have been a bit more slow paced. Like we've seen both teams posture for aggressive plays, but not really able to commit to anything with what we see available. As I mean, Creme at least going to force him back, be able to clear out this wave quite quickly with his spells left up. And yeah, still getting a bit of a handshake on the map.
So, question for me here, though, is my brains maybe have a little trouble. Whose ulti do you steal? Is it just Crescent Guard all day long? Is it the True Shot barrages? I feel like the Corki rocket's not the most efficient for the Sylas.
Right, it feels like you have like two pretty good choices, which are Tarzan's and Lumao's, and then a bunch of these are fine. These are whatever.
I'm hoping for a snipe with the stolen True Shot barrage. That's always what I'm looking for.
It would be nice. I always love when we get the fountain snipes. I don't think we've had one this split. I think we had one that was close, but I don't think it was fountain. I think someone was recalling, and they killed them like in a brush deep into their own jungle or something. But LWX's base one is cold.
God.
Goes for the engage.
Lumao just gets a dredge line straight to the dome, which means OMG take pole position around the Dragon Pit. This will be first objective, potentially started up by them.
But Allah making his way down. LNG might have a window. If Creme looks for an aggressive abscond abduct, you could just bring the Aatrox in and punish him, but no, they just want to force him out and try and brute force their own way onto Dragon.
And Creme going to dash over the wall there. Dragon didn't get started up by Aki, and it will be LNG moving into OMG's pit here to take the Dragon themselves, which we've seen last game and this game now. Tarzan and LNG having some really good mind games around the objectives early on.
And all of that coming from Allah, right? Moving down, he had Pry on top side. He's going to get back to his turret right as the wave's crashing, so shouldn't really lose out on anything. And for a top laner who I think has always been very focused on himself in the way he plays, right? He's kind of, I think to when Allah came into the league is natural, and how he's progressed, it's been like a very Bin-esque play style in terms of very greedy, right? Loves the Fioras, loves the Camille's. The fact that he is willing to use his own advantage to move for the team, I think is a great sign for LNG as a whole.
Yeah, I think so as well. And that's the little things that you can see and point out, that like some confidence being built as the season goes on, as a little bit of stability, I guess, hits the LNG roster for another split, right? And you get to see some of that growth in the moment. And I think that's super important to keep eyes on, right? Especially in a league that happens every single day almost, or that is every single day, and that you always have to kind of keep track of these evolving storylines. It's pretty hard when we have so many players in the league, but seeing the little moments of growth with each player is super good.
And we're about to have Rift Herald come up where we could see more of those moments. For LNG, they should just be favored if it was like a 3v3 top side because of this matchup in top. But we've seen OMG already committing their support onto the play, where, right, they have some damage coming out from Creme and CC set up from Cold. So it could be a bit rougher for LNG to look to contest. But Doinb has teleport up, Tarzan in the area, and like we just said, right, Allah right now, so much stronger than Shanji, already able to chunk him out, and you have plenty of ults available.
The willingness, though, for OMG to bring all members here pretty much except for Abel.
And Cold's already 6.
Comes across. Not going to hit anything here, but LNG want to contest this. Dredgeline doesn't hit. World Ender popped here as Creme now going in. Has the Crescent Guard. Pushes away everybody, though. But it's the Rift Herald already down, and now the fight afterwards. OMG, they've got one. Shanji got the kill. That's two. And Cold flashes away from the rocket. Creme comes back in, and OMG find three. One responded to by LNG.
OMG coming up huge in that top side play. The fact that Cold was already level 6 compared to Lumau's level 5, definitely a huge boon for the side of OMG. And this game already kind of mirroring game 1 in terms of the strong early start that OMG have been able to find. The one difference is Able not finding much of an advantage over Light, and Light being able to farm up just fine. We'll go straight into the replay here because, right, we saw OMG, the ones on the Herald, True Shot Barrage even coming out for LNG to help. But tons of damage able to come out from OMG. They all in onto their core. We just talked about Nautilus already having his ultimate as well. And then sadly for LNG, right, Doinb not able to deal too much damage at this point in time, chunking them out quite low, but it still isn't enough in the end. And then, heck, him being your primary damage dealer and Ala forced out with his ult at the start of the fight kind of determined the fight going over the side of OMG, because it definitely feels like Ala would have need to be your big damage dealer in that situation had he been able to come out huge, because Doinb just not quite online yet with the items that he has. And speaking of items, Mazel, Creme already having the Everfrost.
It's pretty terrifying, but I will say, you know, giving the one back, I feel like Ala feels okay about getting one in return. I think the biggest thing as well is in that one, Aki stayed focused on the Rift Herald. Tarzan came into the pit. I feel like had an angle to go for the Rift Herald, didn't go for it, went for the fight itself, and then they end up losing out on both. And I think now that Creme has the Rift Herald in mid lane, things are really open-ended for OMG.
I think for Tarzan and LNG, they were hoping that they could just instantly burst out someone with the damage able to come out from Ala and Tarzan. But yeah, sadly, wasn't enough. Obviously, like Cold being able to flash away and just other members being able to get out. But now we're going to start seeing OMG hit on what we wanted to see from them early, right? Was linking up mid-jungle and looking down towards this bottom lane.
Spotted out.
They have a wave.
They saw Creme coming on that ward there. Rift Herald is going to be dropped. They're just trying to funnel some more gold in this bottom lane. Unlock a bit of pressure here as True Shot Barrage comes across, gets 4 members. Nice little damage stacking for your stats, Light. But the tower is going to go down, and OMG extend their lead even further.
Doinb will answer with, it looks like, at least a plate in the mid lane. But Shanji! Oh no!
Here. Doinb, you ain't got package, you got Valkyrie. But you Valkyrie straight to the face of Creme, and Doinb is going to not die to the task. Wait, what? Aki, he does the subjugation, and now it's still Tarzan getting picked out. Oh my god, everything's going to hell in a handbasket right now for LNG. Doinb gets out with another Valkyrie, but the rest of his team has been eliminated. Oh, the Void Seeker, not enough.
No, so close. But hey, for OMG, they still get 2 kills. Lumau saved Doinb, but gave up his life in his stead. And now OMG making their way up to about a 2.5k gold lead. Dragon coming up on the board in 10 seconds. Look at the minimap. So far, bot side river is completely lit up by the side of OMG. And 3 ultimates are down, but they do still have things like the Nautilus ult available. And I mean, Mazel, this was just... They came in from both sides. What could LNG even do?
They came in from behind. Oh no. But the fact that Doinb is the one that survives, I feel like is a little bit awful. I feel like if you're gonna, you should commit to the team in those kind of situations. But hey, Corki surviving another day is huge. OMG though, they are huge at this point. They get another.
Yeah, I was gonna say what's more huge?
Go ahead.
Getting the 2 picks or Corki getting away? What's more huge? Was
I think it's the 2 picks. I'm not a big brain analytic guy, but 2 picks definitely sounds like it. It will be first dragon for OMG, though, as they stop a little bit of the stacking game that LNG started by getting the first dragon of the game. But we'll get back to Graces. We'll get back to tried and true here, where we have resets that came across the board, a lot of completions of items, especially for OMG, as they almost have everybody's mythic at this point.
Yeah, now having the Night Harvester picked up for Shanji. Again, I feel like the big change that feels nice is the extra ability haste, but it also the proc, the cooldown of the damage coming out from Night Harvester also got taken down by 10 seconds. I don't feel like that means too much in like a team fight, because at 30 seconds, team fights usually don't last longer than 30 seconds, but in a side lane or in like a 1v1 could mean a little bit more coming out for Shanji as well. And now Kraken Slayer on Able they will just be burning down through Ala and Tarzan up in that front line.
I will say, though, the poke game from LNG will be strong, right? You're hitting level 11 now for Doinb. You have the Trinity Force for Light. You're still waiting on a couple item completions to really hit that stride, though. But the composition, the poke composition, is there for LNG if they find a way to pilot it.
I do gotta say, for OMG to go up against that poke, they have a ton of tools, right?
Do.
The Nautilus, the Kaisa, the Sylas. And the one criticism, like the one thing, no matter how OMG have looked all split, you can't say about them is that they are a decisive team. Like they are willing to pull the trigger on a fight. Many of those times, a lot of those fights will be bad, but still they're always willing to go for it. And in a game like this, where they're up, where they have the advantage, where if they find the engage onto Light or Doinb, they win, that decisiveness is going to be a huge benefit.
Absolutely. And I think the inherent synergy in the team composition is what's huge, right? They have so much CC to layer down with the plasma stacks of Abel on the Kaisa, but all in all, it's that decisiveness that plays into this composition. The fact that they can pull the trigger with multiple members of the team to find engages.
And especially with the fact that kind of leaning into their own style, but also not bringing out the picks that we were like, okay, why are we running like Zed plus Akali mid-jungle? Why are we doing like Talon plus LeBlanc mid-jungle? As Creme going to look for an engage.
This is the abduct. Still has the Crescent Guard there, but Light to go a bit wide. The Rift Herald is already getting lower. Creme goes back in for the engage. Crescent Guard doesn't save you from damage that's right on top of you. This could be huge for LNG. The drag back as well for the chains, but the cast comes through. Abel is trying to find his way into the fight, but can't do it. OMG have to back away.
And both people who died going a little bit too far. Creme jumping into numerous members, and Ala doing the same, but Shanji ready with the barrel. So at the end of the day, both teams going even in terms of the trade. We're going to see some resets come out. And then, you know what I expect, Mazel? I expect us to do it again. Get right back in front of the Herald and see who can claim it on this day.
Yeah, exactly. Because we still have a little bit of time till the next dragon comes up. We'll see Aki and OMG taking position in that Rift Herald pit. Nothing to be said by LNG at this point, as it will be going down. You see, have a lot of bodies for LNG around, but no response.
No, and I mean, you look at the ultimates used on the side of LNG, and like pretty much all of your ultimates are down. Creme and Abel will still have theirs on the side of OMG, and Creme now having Zhonya's as well. I feel like it's huge in this team fights, buying you time to get off another rotation of spells to be able to come out is always what Sylas wants. Now they're going to be able to force their way up into this top side, and their bot lane's making their way up as well. OMG looking to take down this turret.
Allah has TP if they need to commit to this. Doinb in some trouble here. Everfrost doesn't connect, though. Creme takes a tower shot. Cast comes out. That's a lot of abilities used by OMG just to try to find the dive. But they don't do so.
Yeah, I wonder, I want to see what the cooldown of his ult is right now. I guess it shouldn't be too low at this point, considering he doesn't have the Archangels that he had gotten in Game 1. But we'll get to replay the fight. Creme going and not able to land the abduct, and then giving time for other members of LNG to be able to join in. Just look how far forward Creme is in this position. Goes in, Ala able to come around from the other side. Doinb, I feel like maybe not the best use of your package to just commit onto one member who will surely go down anyway. And then Shanji with the beautiful cast, making sure it ends up in a 1-for-1.
I feel like you're starting to see some of the holes in the game plan for LNG, especially when you're looking at some of the draft when they come into team fights. A little bit of the back and forth nature. You have a lot of go forward, but you have also a lot of poke. And I think finding the balance between the two and making sure that everybody's involved in the fights is super important, and not trying to scurry at the last second to get poke in when they don't have the time to. Rift Herald in the mid lane, though, will get the charge off. LNG look like they want to commit to defending this one, as they do, in fact, do so. Dragon on the table, though. OMG walking down that way.
So OMG going to be able to pick up themselves up a second Drake. LNG just going to commit to the gold trade, go up to top, push that wave in, have Ala catch bot wave, kind of get your house in order, get some more gold onto your carries, and kind of survive to fight another day.
What do you gotta get in order for your house if it's pertaining to League of Legends? What do you gotta do if you're in your house and you need to tidy things up? You got side lanes. You gotta make sure you got wards. Make sure you don't die in mid lane, as we've already found Lumao is not sticking to the plan at this point, and it is OMG who find a pick.
Lumao's house definitely not in order. OMG break open a turret, get a pick, and now they can start pivoting up towards topside, get some vision down. And I'd like to see them start kind of making overtures to taking down this top tier 1. They're just going to have resets for now, but the fact that there's no dragon for 4 minutes and Baron soon, I think vision play in top side is definitely what OMG should look for. Is we see the dive comes through into the pillar to guarantee that that kill on Lumao comes across.
Yeah, that's actually huge. Something else, though, Shanji taking a lot of damage from Doinb, who now has the Miramana completed. I will say on the other side, though, you're getting 2 item completions coming across. Creme and Abel both on 2.5 items now, and I think that's something you have to be careful of going to these next fights. It's not saying LNG can't execute their composition and find those fights, but it's coming harder and fewer between every single one because this composition for OMG are so tried and true, CC heavy, and decision-making heavy that they can kind of exert their will across the map.
Yeah, and like you said, with the items coming out, kind of curious, Creme going for the Verdant Barrier, so paying a lot of respect to the damage that Doinb's able to do, getting that magic resist under his belt and just hoping that he can survive long enough to be able to get in range for an engage to come out. But about a minute ago, we hit on that OMG should be looking to play in enemy topside jungle, get vision down, start posturing up towards top lane and take turret. They finally do it. Wow. Also going to start the Baron. Let's go.
20 minutes in. Guess what? We starting the Baron. It's not for long, though. It's just a little hi, how you doing to the Baron here for OMG as they do take the top side tower.
Look, that's my LPL. My LPL is when teams start Baron at 20 minutes and just, you know, throw it against the wall, hope it sticks, and it works out. The day that stops, this ain't the LPL.
Well, hey, we got that stopping today, so I don't know where we're at anymore because I see all the LPL, branding and everything, but I guess we're not there anymore.
Wait, Mazel. While we have no action, this is our scheduled. Wait. Maybe I need to stop.
You lost your time. You gotta go.
Okay, this is our scheduled ad break. Up next, Ultra Prime versus JDG. 369 versus Zoom, the grudge match of the century. Don't miss out.
Great advertisement. You should look at commercials. I think you have a seriously good career in commercials. But it is the next series coming up. It is going to be a banger. Dumpling Bros going at each other yet again. But we're back into this one, and it is OMG extending their arm a little bit forward as they want to try and steal away this red buff. They do just that.
Yeah, able to get that and still keep up the pressure. Looks like they're going to pivot back towards mid right now, get that wave in, and just keep seeing if you can fish for a pick on the top side of the map. OMG not strong enough to force a Baron, and I think not really comfortable looking for that flip. So just trying to find if they can look for a pick or pull LNG out, but they'll get spotted out once again. Oh, wow, they're actually committing this time.
They are. 2 items had been completed for Doinb and Light, though, so a little bit more damage from the poke comp from LNG. They don't want the Baron, though. They want the fight. Tarzan gets baited into overextending. Now Lumao has the quickness, gets the 3-man, 4-man knock up there, but they don't have the damage to back it up. It's a double kill for Abel, and OMG can now turn back onto the Baron.
Yeah, OMG can turn. LNG, though, still have their poke members up, so can try and dish out some damage, but Shanji playing keep away. If either of them walk into him, Shanji does have a significant amount of damage he can deal right now.
As
Doinb,
they know they don't come in.
They're going to try.
They can't do it that quick, and Creme stops his back, realizing he needs to. Baron stopped by OMG. They don't want to overcommit. A little bit of reservation.
I even like that Shanji just throws out his ult for the whatevers on the way out, but not wanting to overcommit to that one and maybe risk members getting taken down when Dragon is coming up in 45 seconds. So instantly bringing Creme back onto the map with his teleport to make sure he's here, can try to push the next wave in and then make his way onto the Dragon.
Yeah, about 30 seconds for that Dragon will be soul point for OMG. It's been a slow and steady burn, but it has been a constant one for OMG as they do find themselves up almost 5,000 gold here. A lot to say in the argument of who gets to take the objectives as they have found so much control across the map. They've gotten every single outer tower. They've gotten the Rift Heralds. They've gotten 2 Dragons at this point, and it's really hard for LNG to find ways into the fights that is not a front to back with the poke setup behind.
And now for LNG, they're not even going to contest this Dragon. OMG should be able to get this for free, but Creme
going a little hypey, but Lumao might be on the dead side. Doesn't go down, actually. Baron did start up there, but Creme just looking for the picks.
Yeah, realizing they don't need to fully commit members to the Dragon, I think you're initially sending members up towards Dragon to just make sure there's no shenanigans going on in terms of, like, LNG trying to force that one on you. LNG not wanting to commit to the Dragon fight after we saw Doinb not find a use for his package after the last fight we had around Baron. TP's in with package, OMG back off. Doinb just had to blow that one. So without that tool, LNG not feeling comfortable in terms of contesting this objective. And now making our way to 3 items for AD carries. Abel having the IE. He's going to be hitting like a truck.
Yeah, he absolutely is. Unfortunately, no 3-item spike just yet for Creme, as he had already just back. Not able to get it just yet. But everybody from OMG coming up around this Baron. The vision game is so strong for them, and they can make sure to keep LNG waiting and baiting their breath. Are they going to start it up? Do we have to go commit a contest to it is the biggest question.
Yeah, for OMG, I think they're just going to look for similar plays to what they did before, right? You first need to try and reestablish control in mid. You'll do that after Creme pushes out this wave and someone has to answer in top side, and just get your vision control back in enemy jungle and try and bait out those same picks that led you to being able to try to start Baron before.
The LNG maybe. Ooh, Creme had the angle there, but doesn't want to pull the trigger. The rest of OMG were not in the vicinity here. So good call from Creme to back off, but he's always looking with those abscond of ducks as you see OMG going into the top side jungle of LNG.
Yeah, so once again, trying to find those picks. They are sitting over a ward right now, so no way of sweeping that. They have 2 control wards in the inventory of Cold.
Oh my
they
God.
want to start getting those placed out, and they're just starting it outright with Aki and Abel.
The Kaisa damage, it does a lot at this point. That's 3-item spike, but they go for the engage afterwards. It's huge. They get Cold picked out immediately. Creme buying a ton of time. That Crescent Guard. Oh my God. That was huge. OMG do lose 1 member because of their over-eagerness, though.
Yeah, kind of being split on that decision, right? Trying to commit to the Baron while also playing for the turn. And if you play for the turn in that situation, you don't have to worry about the Kaisa being able to follow up because she always could just like ult in once you get some CC down, right? But Aki would have no way of being able to join the fight quickly. And LNG just even having the burst to be able to take down Cold before any of that damage is able to follow up. They had the front-to-back formation, considering that you are just kind of funneling into that small choke point, which allowed them to come through. And let's kind of see here of how it went down. OMG trying to find the pick, but he goes down so quickly once every member of LNG funnels in. And now very easy for them to turn.
Yeah, I think they would have lost a lot more there if that Crescent Guard didn't come through, because the chase down could have definitely come out for LNG. Creme answering the side lane against Ala, though, as we do have LNG now scared of the potential Baron takes. They need to get the vision down around Baron buff itself, and they do just that with Lumao. But it's the reset that came through for a majority of OMG, and you're getting even further across these item completions as well. Anathema's chains completed for Aki.
You know, Mazel, let's say LNG go undefeated in the regular season, but they win every series kind of like
Dub's
this.
a dub.
Kind of how they've won against TT, OMG, and the rest.
A dub
How do you
is a
feel
dub.
about LNG then going into playoffs?
Masterclass, 100%, easy. I think there's something to be said.
So you're saying the undefeated streak would outdo the fact that they would have looked dicey?
Yes, I would. Because on paper, a dub's a dub. And LNG themselves, as an organization, need as many dubs as they can possibly get. OMG started up the Baron again. This is just deja vu, but at this point, it's not deja vu. It's like see you like 8 times, because this has happened so many times. The deja vu is only 2. But OMG moved back to mid lane, try to gain priority there, as it actually looks like they're going to be getting a reset here for Creme. More than likely to buy the next item.
Yeah, so still playing it slow for now. I mean, for OMG, right? OMG are the team in the driver's seat. They're the one who really gets to dictate what actions are going to happen on the map, where LNG are especially waiting out for that package timer to come back up and then look for that fight. So when OMG, the team in the driver's seat, are the team that's on soul point, that comes up in 50 seconds, they're not looking to overcommit to a play in topside, especially after the one last time went so awry.
And I will just set the stage here. All ultimates available. We have summoner spells across the board. Everything is firing on all cylinders here, and it's about execution in the moment. OMG looking for early picks, early vision game, package available for Doinb. We saw in game number 2, that was the difference maker. He is now on 3 items. He has the Hex Drinker. LNG's moment to shine comes now.
I also want to highlight he has the GA, but Abel also has a stopwatch. These tools will be critical in terms of carries being able to come back up or survive damage and keep the fight extended. OMG need to try and find a way onto the back line, but LNG have the package right now, so this would be a rough fight.
You see the damage numbers come up here. It will be important. This could be a game-deciding fight for OMG if they take the Dragon. Ocean Soul would be huge, but prolonging that for LNG would be even bigger. The engage is not going to be there. Now we get the Crescent Guard from Creme into the back line. He's tanking up a Storm right now. Package across, though. OMG are playing this so nicely. Abel goes with the Killer Instinct onto Doinb. He can't do anything, but the rest of OMG are dusted 4 members strong of LNG, the GA, by so much time for Doinb. But Abel's popping off. Abel's trying to get everybody here. Shanji cleans him up. Abel is a monster, but he's a monster that gets put down by Tarzan and Allah. It is a tank fight here between Shanji and Aki. OMG are heading the wrong way. You've gone the wrong way. There's no home left. And it's everybody but Aki falling to LNG.
That fight was all over the place, but in the end, LNG pull it together with Allah and Tarzan, and they will be able to deny Soul over from the side of OMG. I feel like this fight having so many layers to start off. Creme having the ultimate over from Tarzan. And we're going to actually see Cold, the one to start this one off alongside Creme. Crescent Guard comes out, but not really doing too much on Creme's side. And then Doinb's package layers across 3 core members of OMG, but it sets up for Abel to go in and bring him down. So I feel like Doinb's package actually did a lot to take down 2 of those key members on the side of OMG, but the fact that Abel able to zone him out, get kind of onto these members on the back line, he does so much here, flashing over Tarzan to try and get on light and take him down, but still with the Aatrox and Zhao here, Conqueror is completely stacked up. They're dealing so much damage at Aki, and Shanji not really able to match at this point. Shanji once again going full AP, so there's like a lot of burst, not a lot of tankiness coming through. And the Trundle as well, right? Your ult's already down. You've already ulted someone in the fight. Like, you have an Anathema's Change you've already used on someone else, so in the end, LNG's champion just kind of benefiting more from that extended skirmish with their bruisers.
That gore drinker for Tarzan was monumental. I mean, that was like literally fight changing right there. Meanwhile, OMG back on as the Baron started up again for like the 20th time. LNG committing a TP here. OMG, they've overextended. Cold is completely caught out. They need to do something here. They just lose a member. Now it's a 4v5. Creme's trying to pop the quickness to go inside. Killer instinct from Abel on the back line, but he gets stunned up. There's the great entrance. He's still alive somehow. Gets popped by the Mystic Shot, though. OMG are still 4 strong, and they'll catch out the remaining member of Tarzan here in the fight.
And 2 members going down for the side of LNG to where OMG have only lost Cold. Abel once again trying to make the hero play, but the rest of his team is around to body block to make sure he doesn't go down and take out the 2 strong frontliners from LNG. And OMG looking not to be risky once again. I mean, they're just afraid, right? They're afraid of starting the Baron because the rockets will come in, the Mystic Shots will come in, they'll get whittled down low, and then a follow-up engage can come through. We go straight into the replay of Cold being aggressed on, instantly to a numbers advantage for the side of OMG, but huge barrel coming out from Shanji to kind of like spread the members apart, and then Abel getting in on the backline, forcing out flashes from numerous members of the side of LNG, and then Creme and Aki cleaning up.
So many GAs in this game.
These fights are all over the place at this point, Mazel. These fights are hard to follow.
We have so many GAs in this game. 3 of them, actually, so maybe not that much. But the Baron is started the carousel again, but this time, OMG secure it easy. No contest from LNG, 32.5 minutes in.
Where were you on June 24th when OMG picked up their first win of summer and LNG undefeated goes down? I'm setting it up now. Definitely won't jinx it. OMG, you can do it.
Hey, no jinxing, no cast of cursing here. We'll keep our eyes off that one. But it is 2 minutes till the next dragon. Would be Soul for OMG. Again, another nail in the coffin for LNG themselves. But the scaling is arriving, right? Like, we're getting there. We're getting the full item stacks on this carry and these carries. And I think that's the important thing is anybody can blow up. You're looking at OMG, it is Abel. Those killer instincts, so crucial. But if Abel goes down, the rest of the comp doesn't have as much damage to back it up. Whereas on the side of LNG, go ahead.
I was going to say, especially when, you're hitting on a great point that it relies on Abel, because look at the items. Both Allah and Tarzan already rocking Spirit Visage. So a lot of that AP coming out from Shanji and Creme going to be nullified.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part here, especially when you're looking at the damage profile for LNG. We have the scaling coming online, but it's coming from multiple positions. You've got to deal with Doinb and Light, and you see that Abel in that last fight where he was killer instincting towards Doinb can only take care of one at a time.
And especially when LNG just have so much sustain as well coming out, right? Gore Drinkers
Oh
on
my
top
God, why are they
jungle,
committing
Spirit
this?
Fishes, but okay. OMG.
They don't even get the tower. They're committing the TP here. Creme almost half health. Crescent Guard is available for him, though, to turn around the fight. And they've already gotten Tarzan. He's blown up. The front to back don't matter much longer for LNG.
I would love to see the damage share on just that one individual pick. I guess to be fair though, when we're building up Tarzan as tanky and Aki can just press R, he is not very tanky at that moment. And now with this Baron, OMG just gonna keep going to say, hey, screw this scaling thing that you guys are talking about. We also do just fine in the late game, right? We have a Trundle, we have a Kaisa, we have a Sylas, all champions who do thrive.
A little bit of trouble there, though, as OMG actually make their way out, having also taken the blue buff, or actually it looks like Olive might have taken that one. But it is Creme moving back down towards his team because we got a dragon fight on our hands here.
Everfrost already blown by Creme onto Ala, and Ala just trying to hard force swing to pit.
Yep, and that's Soul given over to OMG. Ala in some trouble now. You've got Doinb with the package. He can be the saving grace for his team, but really can't get much here as OMG fighting with their food a little bit, but they get what they came for.
And that pick against Tarzan paying huge dividends with the fact that they get the Soul, Ocean Soul up against a comp that, you know, doesn't really commit too much with the damage. I mean, you're willing them from far. OMG can back off. They can use the Soul, heal back up, and try and set themselves up for the prime engage that they're looking for. Their Baron will time out, so they shouldn't really be able to turn this into much more pressure. And with OMG's comp, right, very short range, very dive-oriented, it's going to be very hard to break down inhibitor turrets unless LNG are, like, split up by mistake. You can maybe dive an inhibitor turret unless you pull them out with things like the Baron, with things like an Elder. So I'm curious to see if someone on LNG maybe oversteps and just gives OMG the opportunity for free, or what OMG will have to do to pull LNG out of their base.
Oh, the minions too strong. Hit the outer tower there. It'll be a final outer tower for OMG, falling to LNG. A little bit of global gold there especially, but it's hard to think of LNG taking these next fights, right? I mean, you are looking at some item stacking here. We got 4 items pretty much across the board for the carries, at least working on their final items, but it still doesn't feel like enough. You need those wonderful picks. You need something to go right in these team fights for LNG to pull something out, because if you take it straight on the way it is, it ain't going your way.
Okay, Mazel, so what would NA Academy Southern Mazel tell LNG for them to be able to
You gotta just go ahead and get up on that Bronco and go ahead and give it a buck. You gotta go and ride, bro. You gotta ride.
Oh God, yeah.
I always got
for
you
anyone
in
out
Texas.
there, for anyone who isn't aware out there, Mazel on NA Academy having his Southern persona, a bit of a 10 of 10 coming out from me. As there we go, LNG. Apparently, you just need to ride the Bronco or whatever it was you just said.
Yeah, exactly. I'll teach you all the sayings. Don't worry. Don't worry. Broncos are scary though, and OMG is a scary Bronco, dark horse, if you will. We're gonna bring it back full circle, but it's crossing the T's, dotting the I's at this point for OMG. They're on the precipice of their first series win against an undefeated LNG team in this summer split. Something that coming into this day, we were wondering if we were even going to be able to see. And I think that's super important for OMG to show that growth, show that development, show the fact that they know the kind of compositions that seem to work for them, and they have decided to start opting into those.
Yeah, they've readjusted enough to where we're not seeing, again, things like the double assassin come out, but still sticking to their identity in terms of the all in the dive, finding things that are comfortable for them. Kind of being gifted some matchups, right? The fact that LNG going straight for the Ezreal, setting up for things like the Kaisa to be able to come out for Abel, but still closing this one out won't be easy. If it feels like one member of LNG kind of always overextends a bit too far forward, that sets it up though. So with Shanji waiting in the wings like this, OMG might find it.
He might. The sharks are
Oh,
spinning.
Shanji's got the angel.
Yeah,
Shanji's
he
got the
does.
angel.
Oh no, light Lumao, the casket. But now they found Ala. That's who they were going for. Creme on the back. Creme finds himself in the most awkward positions every single time. But this time, it doesn't matter. This time, LNG might just be taken out, but they have a nice front to back, and that's what you got to watch out for. Cold goes golden over the True Shot barrage. They can't find the re-engage. It's just a trade, 1-for-1.
Yeah, sadly, Creme and Shanji trying to both come from a flank, but the fact that they're kind of split apart, Shanji not able to help Creme get out of there, means that it just ends up being a 1-for-1 because Ala's still able to buy so much time when he's in the face of the other members of OMG. And heck, that kind of looked like as good as it was going to get for OMG, with Shanji finding the cask into the body bop coming out. But we saw Ala kind of aggressing onto Abel and the rest at the same time. And no, actually, it's OMG that aggress onto Ala. It's actually OMG's choice to go onto the Aatrox. So, yeah, kind of split focus coming out from OMG. We see Creme trying to collapse at the same time. This brings him into members like Lumao and Doinb, so he does end up going down. And then Cold going golden in the nick of time to make sure he doesn't go down. And luckily, again, he is sitting on the Zanyas. It isn't anything like a stopwatch, so we'll be able to use that once again if he does get into a sticky situation later on.
They just go straight for the engage. Tarzan has to use the Crescent Guard already. He's still caught out, though. They're doing so much damage, and the cast comes through, but it separates them. A killer instinct from Abel! He goes straight in. He's got the GA available as well. He goes down, but OMG, they might have just found the fight. Cold is down, but Ala is in the back line. Does it matter? No, it doesn't! Where were you when OMG got their first series win in Summer Split? They take the fight against LNG, and they are dominating this game.
And we see Abel taking the killer instinct, and that is exactly what he had in that moment, starting up the fight as the Kaisa to lead OMG to a win.
That's a heck of a slam down and a heck of a performance from OMG's Abel. They take it to LNG, handing them their first series loss of the split. The consistency did not reign true for LNG, and OMG have found the right ticket.
We have been questioning if LNG's score was deceiving to how they've been performing in the standings, and they finally get punished. Again, LNG haven't shown a great run of form. OMG, though, another team who was kind of taking it hard, who wasn't performing well, able to step up today and finally punish this LNG roster kind of the way it seems like that we've been waiting for them to be punished, for them to be tested, bringing out comfort picks. We see the Sylas in the mid lane. We see the Samira and the Kaisa for Abel. And once OMG are on these dive compositions and they're comfortable, and the enemy's making so many mistakes as LNG did in the series, it just becomes very easy to punish, to take advantage, and to close out a win. OMG might have overstepped or over-aggressed a few times, but they also learned, right? Because we saw in moments like that Game 3, where the first time they go for the Baron, it doesn't work out, they back off. After that, they didn't. They started looking for picks in the enemy jungle. They started to look at it from a different angle, and things seemed like things at least moved out a little bit to where they were able to start finding these decisive engages that they were looking for.
I got one decisive choice here, Lyric, and it's my big brain analysis. It's what I'm going to leave you with if I ever have to quit casting. They didn't pick an assassin. No way. They get done. They get their first series win. They didn't pick an assassin. Yes, let's go. But all in actuality, I think looking at the side of OMG, it's huge. It's huge. You saw the smiles on their faces. Even after that first game, they were all happy. They were smiles. But on the other side, it is disappointment, right? With the LPL, in the regular season, you play each other once. And I think this will be a stain on LNG's record for the rest of the summer split.
Yeah, I mean, right? The fact that you really can't afford to lose to like teams where you are an expected heavy favorite over in terms of like, again, just kind of how the rosters are built pound for pound. So this is something that can bite them later on in the split when it comes to like seeding into playoffs, getting into playoffs. If you are in, getting further up and trying to make your way to like being locked into top 2, so you are just automatically in double elims. So you're right. This right now, it's like a small blip on the radar of like, okay, LNG have looked a bit shaky. They finally got their loss, but this definitely could bite them later on. And for OMG, it's kind of the same. It keeps their dreams alive. It gives them some hope. It gives them some momentum going forward. And maybe knowing like, hey, we obviously brought up Jerry and 0909 as subs for players who were a little bit unstable in spring in terms of Creme and Cold. But maybe this is just the roster that we keep banking on, the roster that does have some synergy built up from 2021. And, we just got to find the right picks. We just got to find the right mojo to be able to find wins like today.
That is the crucial part, the right picks. We saw Creme, the 2 wins they got, it was on the Sylas. It was on something that he could feel active. And even though, I will say, Creme, maybe look at where you're positioning sometimes in those fights. He found himself in some awkward positions, but it is also kind of
a lot of times.
But it's also what kind of threw off LNG, right? LNG, all they wanted was a front-to-back poke-style fight. But when you have Creme just randomly engaging on you into the back line, like, hey, you can't do that, and it works out.
And Shanji as well. Like, Shanji found some great flanks that game, and look, 20 KDA,
Yeah.
almost 100% kill participation, 28% of his team's damage. He is barely inched out by Abel. Abel, the guy who got like massively like far ahead early on this Kaisa, full build extremely quickly. Shanji's AP Gragas pretty much putting up the same numbers as him, so exciting to see these picks coming back into the meta, and overall 12.11 might just be an overall boon for the side of OMG, right?
Yeah,